Trigonelline, which is otherwise known as 1-methylnicotinic acid, increases NAD levels in mice. And if you missed that video, it'll be in the right corner. But what about in people? So this is part 4 of a video series where I'm trying to increase NAD levels by increasing intake of trigonelline-rich foods. And some of those foods are shown on this list. Now, in an earlier video in April, we saw that crimson clover seeds have amongst the highest levels of trigonelline from all the foods on this list, including alfalfa, which I tried for an earlier experiment, and coffee. So to test that for an April 1st test, I added clover sprouts into the diet at an average of 121 grams per day for 9 days prior to measuring NAD levels. And in that video, we saw that NAD was 29.6 micromolar, which I rationalized was a potential NAD increase because my baseline levels of NAD have yet to be higher than 26.6 micromolar without the NAD precursors, nicotinic acid or NMN. So to further test this hypothesis that clover seeds and correspondingly clover sprouts could increase NAD, I further increased clover sprout intake, more than doubling it for an April 29th test to an average of 257.1 grams per day for 11 days prior to testing. So in today's video, we'll see did 2x or more than 2x increase for clover sprout intake, did that impact NAD? To test that, I sent blood to Ginfinity for blood intracellular NAD analysis. And if you want to measure your own NAD levels, there's a discount link in the video's description. So for the April 29th test, we can see that NAD levels were 19 micromolar, and that they're already highlighted in red should indicate that this is definitely not an increase for NAD. So this finding then raises a few questions. First, is low-dose trigonelline or dietary intake of trigonelline better for NAD levels? I don't see how it makes sense where 121 grams of clover sprouts per day and their corresponding trigonelline intake would get a small bump or a small potential bump for NAD, and then doubling that dose for trigonelline would lead to even a lower amount of NAD. That just doesn't make sense. Maybe there's a lower amount of trigonelline that may be optimal for keeping my NAD levels at the higher end of their range without NAD precursors. Alternatively, it's also possible that 29.6 micromolar is just random variation. Now, the argument against that is after 7 tests without NAD precursors, nicotinic acid and NMN, my baseline range for NAD is 18.5 to 26.6 micromolar. So if it is random variation, that would suggest that that pushing it to 29.6 micromolar may be my range without NAD precursors. And that assumes that clover sprouts had nothing to do with impacting NAD, especially when considering this 19 micromolar finding. Now, alternatively, although I took out nicotinic acid for the April 1st test for 4 days before measuring NAD, average nicotinic acid for the 1 week period prior to that test was 20 milligrams per day. So it's possible that that relatively small amount impacted NAD that just wasn't washed out prior to testing. So to account for that, for this test, 9 days prior to testing NAD levels, I took out nicotinic acid completely. And then we see that I've got close to my lowest NAD level ever. In fact, this is my second lowest measurement over 18 tests. So does that retire the video series for which foods are trigonelline rich as a means for increasing NAD? Well, there is one last option, and that's coffee. And I'm still not sold on doing that experiment yet. I'm open to it. I'm just not ready to do it yet. To do the coffee experiment, I'll have to take out green tea in order to stay caffeine neutral. I'm a slow caffeine metabolizer. So stay tuned for that if I include it at some point in a future video. All right, that's all for now. If you're interested in more about my attempts to biohack aging, check us out on Patreon. And before you go, we've got a whole bunch of discount links that you may be interested in, including discount links for NAD quantification, epigenetic testing, oral microbiome composition, at-home metabolomics, at-home blood testing with SciFox Health, which includes ApoB and GrimAge, green tea, diet tracking with Chronometer, or if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that with the website Buy Me a Coffee. We've also got merch, so if you're interested in wearing the ConquerAging or Die Trying brand, as I've got on here, that link and all of the other links will be in the video's description. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.